Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining again. This is part 2 of talking about debts. And so if you would like, you can please go watch part 1 and then you can come back and watch part 2. Thank you so much for watching part 1 and part 2. And guys, don't forget to share, comment below, or share any question you have or any topics you want me to talk about in this channel. So please leave it on the comments below so that I can make sure that all your questions on all the topics you want me to address in this channel are adhered to. So please do so, because this channel is here to help all of us, is here to help you into your finance journey as well. Then if maybe you want to send it privately, you can use the email on the description below. Then you can just send me an email and then I will get back to you about whatever question you might have, so I can help you out. Anyways, so guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. But I have to say it, I like to say this thing of saying share the channel, share to your family, to your friends, to your colleagues, to everybody who know will need this information in their finance journey. So please guys, share it so that we all become financially smart. This channel is to help each and every single one of us to become financially smart in their finance journey. So please don't forget to share the channel, and when you already share the channel, please remind them to subscribe to the channel. After subscribing to the channel, they can ask any question in the comments or send me an email. I will get back to them in any question that they might have. So let's get to today's topic. So today's topic is talking about debtors. But before I go into talking about debtors more in details and everything, I do want to share that I am not a financial advisor or a debt counselor. All the information that I have for you today is information that I have experienced in my life or have experienced around me, and that's information that is out there that you can use it at your own discretion. So let's get to today. Alright, so today we're talking about debtors, and I mentioned on part 1 that sometimes it can be so hard to understand which one is a good debt, which one is a bad debt. So what I will do is, first I want us to categorize the debtors so we can explain them better in each category. So first of all, I have 2 categories for this part, where it says high interest debtors and low interest debtors. So let's talk about what is considered a low interest debtor. So what is considered a low interest debtors is normally your car loans, your bond or your house or your building loan, your student loans, your cell phone contracts, and some other loans that is out there that is a long-term contract, that is a long-term loan. So normally if your loan is a lengthy period, maybe like 10 years or 76 months or 6 years, is normally considered with a low interest type of interest, because it's longer, so the interest is a bit lower. So this interest rates around 12% to 13% to 14% to 15%, and that's what we considered low interest rate. So this rate is around this 11% sometimes if you like enough, and sometimes it's 10% if you like enough. So this rate is around those percentage, and this is considered low interest type of debtors. So in this type of debtors, so normally these debtors, how I define it is, if it's a low interest type of debtor and is considered to be on a good debtor. A good debtor is a debt that gives you an asset or an investment. So if I'm getting an asset out of this debt, then I consider that a good debt. So if I'm buying a house, I have the house as an asset, that means it's a good debt. So that's what is considered a good debt, if it has an asset, which is a return out of the debt. So normally that is considered a good debt in the terminology that we use outside here. So then we can consider it a good debt because you have an asset out of that debt. Why is it considered a good debt when you have an asset? Because if you were to not be able to pay this debt, it would mean that the asset that you hold will be repossessed. So basically it means that now that I have a house, and if I'm unable to pay for my house, then for me to cut ties with this debt, it means that I need to return back the house to the banker, and the banker will do whatever it needs to do to sell the house so that it pays out my debt. So that is what considered a good debt. If I have an asset and I can use this asset and can sell it to pay out the debt that I have. So that's why it's considered a good debt. I hope it makes sense. So most of the time a good debt is when something can be repossessed for you to be able to pay out that debt. As simple as that. And then what we considered a bad debt, okay, I'm not gonna say considered bad debt, but what I'm gonna say something that we considered a high interest debt. High interest debt is normally your personal loan, your credit card, your stock card, your short-term loans, your mashonisa, your debit cards, your many cards that you use of credit cards. All these things fall under high interest type of debt. So it's considered a very high interest rate, range around 28% to sometimes 30% to above anything 25%. Anything above 15% is considered a high interest type of debt. So normally these type of interests are very high in you paying so much interest rate. You pay a higher interest rate to repay this debt, and these higher interest type of debt are considered bad debts. Why are these considered bad debts? They are considered bad debts because if you were not to be able to adhere in paying these debts, meaning you can be red flagged at the credit bureau as a person who is unable to pay his debts on time, and it affects your borrowing it affects your borrowing appetite whenever you manage to pay all this out, but you are then red flagged if you were not to adhere to paying them on month-to-month basis. That's why I considered bad debtors. So these debts, normally if you can't pay them, it means that you either need to make a payment arrangement for them. So let's talk about when you're unable to pay these debts, what happens. So as I mentioned, the lower type of interest rate is considered that you have an asset. So if you owe a bank, you sell that asset to the bank, and the bank sell the asset, and it repays its loan. So that is done and clear. It closes your debt. But now you are in this situation where you have a personal loan, and the personal loan, you literally maybe you don't have an asset to close out this loan. So what happens when you're unable to pay this bad debts? So normally if you're unable to pay this bad debts, normally you start with them calling you and asking for their money. So what is advisable that you do, the first thing that you do when you see that you can't manage your debt, is first of all make payment arrangement with all the institution that you can't pay debts. So I'm gonna just make an example with a personal loan. Let's say you have a personal loan and now you're unable to pay this personal loan. The reason could be is that you have higher expenses, or the reason could be that you lost off a job. So let's say your expenses are they're higher than your income. So at this stage you need to go to the bank. You have to do an affidavit. You have to go to affidavit and stating how your income is and how your expenses are, and then on this one you go to the bank, you negotiate with them. you talk to them and you show them. It has to be proof though. You have to prove it by sense of your bank account. Every bank that you own, you have to prove. You bring all the supporting documents to prove your point that you're unable to do that. Then you make arrangement with your bank, even if to pay a minimum of 100 rand or 50 rand. So do try to make sure that you pay that minimum money that you can, because you need to do an affidavit, you need to do court to say that out of this personal loan I'm only able to pay 100 rands due to my current income and due to my amount of expenses. So you have to prove all of that. So that's the first portion is when you are having less income and higher expenditure. Let's say you have this personal loan and then it turns out you are unemployed, you got retrenched, or the job finished for you. So you can still do the same thing. You can still negotiate with your lender basis on loss of income, as long as you can prove it, and you can prove that due to loss of income I can pay a minimum of 50 rand or 100 rand on this debt. Then you make that arrangement with your lender. On this one you can also ask for payment holidays, and it depends on your payment history. Really does depend on payment history. Then this can be approved by your banker. So you go with them and negotiate all of these things. So please keep in mind that you can do all of this by yourself. You can negotiate, you can speak with your banker, you can speak with anyone that you owe money that's in any institution. If it's a car, you can talk to your financer, you can talk to your lender to negotiate the best option that they can give it to you. Another option that you can happen after is applying for insolvency. On this one I would really want you to really consider it, because the minute you apply for insolvency you are going to be red flag for any future borrowing. So you want to avoid this portion as much as you can. So applying for insolvency means that you go in there to say that I don't have assets to pay all these debts and unable to pay all of this debt due to loss of income whatsoever. So then a question of you then apply for insolvency, it does give you a red flag. So you have to be very careful with applying for insolvency. That is as if when you aren't able to pay your debts. Let's say now you are able to pay your debt month-to-month basis, but now you want to move away from debt. So this type of debt, where is high interest type of debt, this is the debt you start with when you are trying to be debt free. Leave out your house, leave out your car, start with any personal loan, any credit card, any store card. This is where you start to remove debt in your life. So there is a protocol that says that if your interest rate on your debt is maybe 13% and then your money that you want to invest, its interest rate is 8%, chances are they say reduce your debt so that your debt as interest is less than the investment interest that you be getting. So basically it's saying that your debt interest must be 7%, your investment interest must be 8% for you to say you are investing more than paying out debt. My personal opinion and my personal advice is to say, as much as you are wanting to move away from debt, have a saving pocket, have an emergency saving money that you're putting out there every single month, as much as you're trying to kill your debt. So please guys, have an emergency saving while you're trying to kill the debt that you are, because if you can negotiate for all of these debts when you aren't able to pay them, then you really do need some savings for rainy days. So please guys, make sure that you save while trying to kill debt, and you start with a high type of interest debt where you don't have an asset to repay this debt. Then you ensure by paying it out and moving it out of the way. So that's the process that I would do, and that's what I would do if I was someone to say I want to move away from debt. Start with the high type of interest, then take it away, then you can concentrate on the good type of debt. You can still work it out, you can still pay it out and be debt free and have assets and have wealth and wealth and wealth and wealth. But you can always work it out. Let's say unfortunately for now you maybe you considering taking, let's say you already bought a car, you already have a house, and now you want to batch up there and there, and then you are considering to taking a personal loan, a credit card, a short-term loan, or anything like that. Yes, you can if you have ability to pay it back. So this is my rule of how I live about. If whatever debt that I take, I cannot pay it on my income, it doesn't fit. When I take my income and less my expenditure, and then I'm adding this debt, and then it becomes a little bit more than my, and then if I take my expense plus the debt I want to take, and all of that combined, they become more than my income, then unfortunately I can't afford that debt. So try to avoid taking that debt, because it means that you're unable to pay that debt every month. But let's say if I take a debt, and this debt I am able to pay certain expenditure that will give me a room in my budget or in my income, then it's a better option to take that debt. So always evaluate things like that. I will say always evaluate to say that, okay, I'm taking this debt will close out this type of expenditure, I will gain this money, and then I will pay a minimum of this money, and then I have extra money. Then that you're taking it in a good sense of type of a debt. So sometimes it's necessary to take a debt, but I do want to tell you that please make sure that your debt is not above your income. Yeah, so guys, that's all I have for you today on this topic. If you have any questions that you want to ask, please leave on the comments below or send me an email. I will get back to you and help you navigate your financial life. Bye for now. Thank you so much for joining. Bye for now.